Then a button is pressed.
Welcome back to Exalted Essence. Last time, the invasion of the underworld and the assault upon the manse of the Weaver upon the loom of flesh went, well, confusingly, but certainly a lot better than a lot of people expected. The armies crumpled pretty much immediately before the forces of the Vigil and the Hearth's associated allies. Obsidian Shield actually managed to attack the major hard point with sheer charisma and more or less make a convincing sales pitch of, hey, y'all want to just join us? You don't like your boss. You don't actually like your boss. Right? We could just have you help us. As things were tipping out of control way faster than anticipated, especially once the Gunstrider got turned back into a wood dragon that was very confused and discombobulated, but aimed at the hungry ghosts and just kind of went on a small rampage until having a nice talk and figuring out what was going on. The Weaver himself showed up in person to try and deal with some of the situation and evaluate it. And it didn't entirely go his way. He managed to make a couple of bites into the defenses of the Allied forces, and his major attempt to throw a wrench into things was to wake up the sleeping Hekatonkair to the west of the manse and throw it at the team's emplacement with Unbreakable Onyx up in the mountains, just effectively threatening, hey, I know you have all of these mortals and much worse at fighting people than you do in this mobile fortress. I'm just gonna go smash it. You can pick what you want to do. Unfortunately for him, two things pushed back against his ability to force a fork on the party. One of them was that he did not expect Sybil, Guan, and Bismuth to respond to an awoken Hekatonkair with frothing excitement over sports, at least in Sybil's case, and desperate attempt to keep her alive in Guan's sense, and a sense of responsibility to these two idiots in Bismuth's sense. So Sybil ran in and threw the fucking thing off screen and went chasing it, screaming about the glory of combat, and is going to be handling that problem, presumably, off screen. We will maybe go check in on how that is doing at some point. The other, and much more personally alarming thing to the Weaver, was the stress of the impending massacre on Onyx was enough to spark some sort of reaction within it. Was able to sacrifice most of its physical presence as the manse within creation and channel all of that essence into the artifact boat, and then channel that again into creating a body for itself. And in short form, although it is unorthodox and unclear exactly as to how, Onyx is an alchemical now. Onyx was able to create a body and, in pure autopilot defend the people that I love mode, leapt off the boat and started beating the crap out of the Hekatonkair, which was actually very viscerally effective, but the sheer morale damage on Weaver of seeing a forgotten piece of the First Age literally get up and start beating the shit out of a plan massively broke his hold over the Hekatonkair and his concentration, and he just left and went inside and activated a contingency plan. As the essence streams were severed, there was one last delivery of essence down into it. The demon, Reshnak, sealed within the swamp above in creation, was transported on the essence flows down into the depths of the manse right before the flow of essence was cut. So now there is a second circle demon down there, as well as God knows what else. Oh, right, and there was an incident involving a cat cannon that blew a hole in the side of the manse. A fey happened, and
Cat beam.
beams, yes. So now there is a giant smoking hole on the southeast side of the manse. and Faye has unwittingly done an immense service in the defensive creation by being a cat. So, the ball is in the court of the Hearth as they are up in the northwestern field. Let me just move the token to reflect that. Having run up to assist in the defense of Onyx and the rest of the crew, only to discover that Onyx was considerably more mobile than about 10 minutes ago.
Is Don't headed our way right now, or what?
So what happened was you could see a pulse of infernal essence go down the ley lines into the manse and then just kind of rocket down into the power transit structure. And as far as you know, it's down wherever that was being collected, which is
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
How big is Onyx?
Onyx is probably about mid 5 feet. Not very tall, but not very short. Just kind of average person size. In terms of frame, is lean, athletic sailor build. Kind of has the same general body plan as the rest of the sailors on the boat because that is what they have spent the most time observing.
Yes. That was the main thing because between the previous session and this one, I had this assumption that Onyx was large.
No, Onyx is not boat size. Onyx, the alchemical, is person size, and roughly just kind of the same kind of gender/body shape amalgamation average of your entire crew.
Got it. Yes.
And at this point, Onyx is coming down off of I guess you would call it adrenaline, and having hugged Repose in panic and just wanting to make sure everything was fine.
I expect we fade in on Onyx still firmly clamped around Repose,
just kind of
refusing to move.
Just kind of unclear what hugs are for, but assured that they are important, and is just kind of latched onto Repose. Long in character awkward silence, presumably.
Gang would probably cough once or twice.
Onyx, there is a point where this becomes awkward if you do it too long.
Oh, I apologize. Onyx just kind of immediately lets go full force, kind of dropping Repose a little bit.
It's fine. You're getting used to this.
Onyx is visibly distracted by internal sensation. Onyx is trying to pay attention to the rest of you and is trying to think of what to say or try to get across, but also is very visibly dealing with things like, what is this sensation of having heavier pressure on my feet? Is this what standing up feels like? Is this gravity? Is this weight?
What's feet?
Feet?
Yeah, like that is the kind of thing just going on of just the sensation of, I have never been embodied in a body that actually has any sort of physical perception. I have been a vague thought construct that can kind of poke at the thought constructs of other things, and now I have to deal with physicality, and this is a whole lot to process right now.
Don't worry, Onyx. You and I can go swimming another time, and then you really get to experience how that works.
Onyx kind of tilts head at that.
Repose kind of gives a very sharp, dry, irritated cough, releases just a very small puff of dust. Spends a moment wordlessly looking over Onyx, and then a few like I feel like bits of body motion where he's kind of winding up to start speaking and then backs down from it, settling back into nope, still on edge and still in fight mode, still on battlefield.
Is it the kind of scholarly inhaling, or like
Trying not to murder something inhaling.
He is taking the time to reorient himself after a bunch of things
Yeah.
have happened abruptly.
Mm-hmm.
After everybody just kind of stands around for maybe, I don't know, 10 minutes.
It would not be 10 minutes, but go ahead.
It would be like maybe a minute tops. And again,
Or like an
in
hour.
the silence, Onyx would be like looking around and again just doing casual things like flexing hand, looking at thing, moving limbs, trying to pick something up.
Actually,
Just very obviously handling a body.
I have settled into. All right, I've recalled an option for an opening remark here, where one could recall that one of the closing remarks that was shouted in response to this was told you the boat was alive. And Repose has, as part of his
Ruffled
getting
feathers.
resettled, gone back and perhaps
Was that me or
reviewed the
Yang that
tapes.
said that? I don't remember.
it was
Yang.
Yang? It was 100% Yang. 1,000% Yang.
And Repose is immediately thrown back into Scholardome by that comment, yes.
Yeah.
It was the old man who was insistent that it was improper to refer to you as alive.
He did make some rather compelling arguments from his perspective.
He's also a dick.
He does that.
Head tilt at Yang's expression, but no asking of what it means, because at this point, Onyx can infer some things.
Body language is probably doing a lot of work there, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
One day we'll learn what happened, old man.
So, who do we have to kill now?
At that time, and at the present time, and ideally at a later time, when looking over shoulder at like ongoing like column of ominous energy out of the manse, that is not imminent.
Long story short, we all of us, have a lot to unpack right now, but there's more pressing matters.
Understood. How can I best assist?
That's a good question.
Well, what are we trying to do, exactly?
From my understanding of the operational procedures, the objective was to go inside the manse and either disrupt whatever plan the Weaver was up to, or, if possible, decapitate the leadership, as it were.
Well, I'd like to say option B would be the simplest. I think he showed us that no, that would be quite hard.
We could probably do it.
Maybe.
I would like to rig it a little bit more before going into that.
The other factor is that option A has already happened, so it's no longer option A.
Repose will turn to look in the opposite direction, where there's probably a different ominous column of
Serially
energy
blinding
and
light
noise
in the
emerging
underworld, yeah.
from where Hecton is unfolding.
Just this unnaturally bright lance of light in the distance, yeah.
Someone drink the lamp over there.
I would ask if that's normal, but I don't think any of us truly knows what normal is down here.
I don't think normal is a word that really applies. We're not dead, so that's normal, I guess, for a certain meaning of the word.
Not that.
What am I
Normal is a
class-
matter of perspective and one state of being. The world will unfold around you. However it will. It is to you to decide whether or not.
I want to go punch that dude in the sunglasses. But
Correct.
that's all I know I want to do right now.
You all hear over the network, "Are you guys coming or not?" And you look around, and Angler's about 300 yards away, just headed toward the house.
Well, you can't do that. We have to talk about that's how JRPGs work. You can't just start walking.
We all have to say something, and then everybody else has to respond to what that person said.
No, shut up.
I'm
shut
here.
Up.
I'm fine. No, we were just talking. Me and Trin were just talking. Nothing else.
Good.
We were talking.
The blood flow to your face seems abnormally elevated.
Obsidian, what do you make of the weather? Looking back over at the column of light.
I'd say it's a terminal.
Eh,
She will not disengage from what she has set in motion until who can say? They would remain by her side. He will kind of stop a moment and make eye contact to be sure it's clear to whom he is referring without name dropping at each step of. All right, Sybil will stay out there. Guan will remain out there so long as his presence their presence is necessary to ensure victory. Until such time as they are confident that she will be safe and has attained control of the situation. Of the three of them, Bismuth may find the opportunity to disengage and return here. Should it become possible.
I understand.
There's a
but
bit of internal rotating of shapes and considerations of math.
Hmm?
It is unlikely. We should not act on any assumption of intervention on the part of our celestial associates.
Understood.
If they should find the opportunity to return and perform some unexpected, miraculous act at an appropriate hour, that is in their power, not ours. We will act on those things which we can control.
like punching him in the sunglasses.
Firm nodding.
Onyx kind of looks over to Obsidian. Pardon me if I'm incorrect, but are not sunglasses intended to be used in high light environments?
I don't think he actually has eyes.
That's how you know he's a villain.
Oh. Onyx. Go on.
I was gonna say, the longer we wait, the more contingencies he has to break open, so we should probably get going.
Onyx nods. Shall I stay back with the contingency upon the ship, or shall I go with you?
Looks at Obsidian.
Stay with the ship.
Understood, Captain.
For
Just-
the record, I am happy that you came to save us. I think that was very cool what you did.
I did merely what I had to do in service of those that I serve.
And you looked like a badass.
Thank you.
Onyx is just kind of genuinely confused and taken aback. How? What? I did not intend any sort of visual display.
You did what you did, and we appreciate that.
Thank you. If you will excuse me, I will return to the ship, and I will prepare. I will resume my duties as necessary. And kind of looks at own hand and the feeling of the diclave on the back, and attempt to explain what I cannot explain to the inevitable questioning. Onyx
Well-
just kind of,
We'll figure it out.
Onyx just kind of gives a nod and turns and starts moving back up the hill. And this is an out of character question more. Would you be bringing Shireen into the manse or leaving Shireen on the boat?
It's gonna be pretty mortal peril.
I would say
Yeah, that-
Shireen and Onyx and other
Yeah.
junior exalts are on, like, stay outdoors and look for
Response
opportunities to do support stuff from outside.
A, that B, protect mortal duty.
Yes.
Like, if anything, I would
See
suggest that,
See pilot cannon.
crew try to link up with the Strider in some way, and
Yeah. Onyx would be actually, if you gave Onyx those instructions, that would be something for Onyx to work towards, and therefore you'd be like, yeah, okay, I can do that.
Two questions.
Mhm.
One, how much damage did the turtle do when it shot Don't when it came down? Because that was the last thing that happened in the previous.
It did
map.
not shoot Don't. It shot the side of the manse. It
Gotcha,
shot
had
a
it.
hole in the wall.
All clean through, so we can get to it from our side.
No, you're gonna have to circle around the side, but that is not going to be narratively important amount of time.
Okay. Two, is there a bird nearby?
Would Guan have thought of actually leaving a bird behind? This is something where he would actually be in enough of a panic where I'm going to have to roll for him. There is exactly one bird perched on a dead bush, watching, kind of empty-eyed until it is obvious that you are looking around, at which point it snaps to attention. There's a Rhyton that just kind of snaps up.
Okay. Just a quick question. You two have this? Do you need any help? What do you want?
Pause. Rhyton hops down, sketches in the broken earth and dust. And there is a very rough, slow sketch. Obviously, like, this is the first time you have seen evidence of really conscious effort on the part of Guan when multitasking with another part of him. And just a slow, deliberate sketch of large shape, sunlight, fist coming out of sunlight, and then rough bird shape with knife above shape. And then bare teeth locked on foot of shape. And then a circle and a check mark.
Cool. You three have fun. We'll go take care of that.
X.
You know
In
what I
response to have fun, X. Point to Sybil, check. Point to Bird, X.
Sing her a song. You know what to do. I'm out of here.
The Rhyton just, at that snark, the Rhyton just kind of snaps back to being a bird. I don't have enough time to pay attention to this.
I didn't want to have him pay that much attention in the first place. I just wanted a yes or no, but then elaborate picture is drawn with a check mark. It's like, son, come on. Focus.
Sun cannot actually speak through this bird. This was a panic decision. Yeah.
Just snap thought over the channel to the back of the rest of the crew. Those three have it. It's fine. It's fine. We need to go take care of the house, though.
Alright, so I shall shift the map if we are moving into the next area, into the manse itself. As a bit of stage setting before I do so, the other armies, the Catholic army, the skeleton crew, the northern ghosts, the Vigil army begin to move to encircle the entire manse. So it is, even though there's a breach on one side, the entire manse is becoming encircled. So anything that tries and comes out is going to encounter some sort of resistance. So I shall switch. Yeah, so up on top, we got the Vigil folks up in the corner to represent them being there. We've got the Skelly Boys down in the bottom left. Oh, you need your nameplate activated. And bottom right, where the actual hole breach is, and I will draw that, one sec, is the hearth. And Shireen should not be there. Boop. So, rough layout of the external before you go in is this is the whole inn, and what you can see from the inside is that each of these are segmented off walls with immense doorways on the inside. And on the inside, interrupting these walls are the bases of the two immense towers, and these little squares are spiral staircases. So, everybody who is peering into the hole, give me a finesse awareness roll.
I'm on guard duty.
Yeah, no, that's entirely fair.
Finesse what?
Awareness.
Oh,
Have we regenerating charm motes walking over here? Just want to make sure before we.
Yes. You would have gotten one.
Okay, that means
In the time to go run up to Onyx, deal with that, and come back, you would get a mote.
Okay. My anime goes down to 8.
Just gonna go ahead and track my essence on paper instead of
On the token. Yeah.
having to grapple
is
with the
12,
the
right?
token. Always forgetting the changes I make to the bars.
Yep.
the anima cap right now we have is 12, right? Or mote cap?
Mote cap right now is 12. Anima cap is always 10.
Yeah, I meant to say mote, not anima.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. I just wanted to double
Monema.
reiterate. Mote up.
Animote.
How's everyone doing on motes right now?
4.
9.
Also 9.
9, I think. I don't think I spent much.
Yeah, I don't think Yang has actually spent any that have not been regenerated by combat pace.
Only Obsidian has had a chance to get really loud.
Yeah, everybody else has been moderately loud and then had some time to breathe. Obsidian has just been hitting the gas at every opportunity, which, as I will reiterate, you fucking side suplexed a War Strider. That was worth it.
I will never stop going in.
Yes. Rich homie Obsidian Shield will never stop going in.
I'm at 7,
Jumping into light fears.
but that's
And
And dirt.
a
fire.
bunch of motes to make sure that Shade's boy didn't get to Milan in that last
Yes. Okay, so let's go from bottom to top as usual. Yang only is preoccupied with noticing that the outline of the hole in the wall is very strange for an artillery shot. It's simultaneously very irregular, but also very formed in that irregularity. It looks like it's a hole punched out with 4 spurs out like limbs and then a bulge out like a head. It's kind of like a cat shape that just kind of splooted against the wall. Milan and Angler catch that as well, and looking inside, it is too dark to really see anything beyond some glimmering lights across the floor. But the thing that hit them first is the smell. The smell is, it is just like, how to put this? take what you left at the back of the fridge too long and then put it in the oven overnight at just low enough a temperature to not burn it, but hot enough to make the smell ambient.
Ew.
Yeah. It's just fetid and warm and way too pervasive and way too able to get up in your sinus. Repose gets the smell as well and can quickly identify that as, oh, that is quite literally rotten organic material or dying organic material that is not burning, but is smoldering or otherwise simmering, and can see well enough into the darkness to notice that there are almost veins of smoldering, guttering fire across the floor.
Meat chamber.
And, Repose can actually roll a finesse occult roll because of rolling so high. God, yeah, the thread about the air fryer guy who put in like Big Macs and corn dogs and all of that. Yeah, that's the kind of thing I'm going for.
Gross.
Yes, yes, that is the intention.
Oh, here's a 4.
It was by design.
So let's go directionality, shall we? East is wood, south is fire, southwest is oh crap.
This would be the natural location for the main event. One main event.
This is presumably where the underworld wood and underworld cinders are mingling, which also indicates that the rest of this place is probably laid out geomantically to map creation.
Gross.
So I will just go over into my labels I had not revealed yet and reveal those with that roll.
While you're revealing that, Angler would turn to Repose. Can you sense any of the Fae that came through here before? We were given information about this place. I'm curious if we can find any of them.
I'll spend one on Where is Doom?
Well, where's not Doom right now?
Where isn't Doom? But also,
the reaction you get when you open your senses to the presence of creatures of darkness is basically your teeth itch, your bones itch, your the blood flowing through your veins makes the inside of your veins itch, like ants are walking along the inside of it with spiked cleats. This entire place is wrong, and it is so meticulously, calculatedly wrong. This is very exactingly, perfectly laid out wrong. But you don't sense the Fae nearby. This is all the underworld right now. This is entirely the Weaver's work. With
So,
Where's Doom and those
reportedly it will
successes,
then-
I will say you get a vague sensation of something weird on the inside down below dust. And yeah, like, once you begin to step into the threshold and look around, just geomantic principles wise, everything is at a slightly different wrong angle. All of the surfaces that you can see are just wrong in the subtlest ways, in ways that are contradicting themselves, let alone proper building material. Just all of it just is giving you this sick to your stomach feeling. It is so perfectly self-supportingly fucked up. And in a way that even if you started deliberately unfucking it up, you would just kind of make localized problems worse. So, like, you could adjust the picture frame, and now it's just weird because it's the only right picture frame. Like, this is not something you can fix by making it worse harder. It has been immaculately set up to be like, no, this is going to be the most rancid thing unless you just blast it to pieces or completely rebuild it.
This is a very expertly done Geeker house.
Yes. In the pyro chamber as well, the manse is very large. I will say it is multiple 100 square yards per one of these. The pyre itself, the room, the chamber, more accurately, is more or less... When you walk inside, your foot, like the floor yields to your foot in a way you really don't like, because that looked like rocks. And then you take another step, and then it doesn't. And then you take a couple of more, and then it almost goes up to your ankle. Yang, please roll me a Fortitude Navigate roll if you want to investigate what the fuck is going on in here. In terms of, like, what is this? Like, as a doctor, etc. Sana? Might have stepped away for a moment. If anybody else wants to give that a shot, they can do as well.
What was the roll?
Fortitude Navigate.
What? Am I allowed to, even though I didn't do the initial check?
Yeah, if you're going inside and you want to figure out what the fuck the floor is made out of, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Hold on.
Why not?
I don't want to, but I will anyway because.
Oh, that's nasty.
All right, the joke
Angler
is...
doesn't want to know.
Angler is very close to just vomiting on the spot.
No
Like, the one
loves
success
me
is
for
very
it.
exactly did not botch. You take one look, and then you see it pulse a little bit, and you just look away like, nope, mm-mm.
I was about to do seeing through the dragon's bones and a couple other things, just nope.
No, mm-mm.
And you don't want to see the bones.
Give me a second. I see a charm I don't think I've ever used before.
You want to know what made these bones? You don't want
I,
to
in
know what
fact,
made these
am
bones.
good with knowing nothing about the bones. In
Whose bones
fact,
are
I'd
these?
like to burn away that part of my brain right now.
Somehow they're your bones.
Bones, bones, bones.
Bones.
You look inside yourself, and you're entirely made of meat.
But my meat can be water. Does that mean I can make this entire place water?
It's a good question, Mega Man.
And as Obsidian cannot keep going in, Obsidian spends one mote on this roll for trackless region navigation,
All right.
which reduces the difficulty of the roll by my essence.
Okay, so yeah, go ahead and roll.
Anyway,
Whoa! Okay.
so me and Pete got the same roll, but I'm like, wait,
you
hold
are
up.
way more in on it. So, and that makes sense because part of this is perverted elemental fire. So,
Anyway, back down to 3 motes.
so I will start with Milan, and then I will get the unique insights that Obsidian gets. Milan, this place sucks, and you would say that you want to burn it to the ground, except it's already burning and it doesn't look like it's working. All of the organic material coating every surface that you can see is not... It's not even meat. It's not even one thing. It's not just unambiguous flesh or anything else. It is pieces of things that have grown out of each other in seemingly impossible ways and then seemingly stopped. Like, there is something that you absolutely recognize as that is probably like a long leg muscle of something that is stretched out. And then instead of grafting onto another set of muscle or terminating, it branches out into a fungal mat, and the fungal mat spreads out and then it has nerve endings coming out of it, and the nerve endings are blossoming into small clover-like flowers, which instead of pollen appear to have what looks like some sort of egg inside. It is just a complete atonal, chaotic nightmare riot of life. This is organic shapes with absolutely no care of what goes where and what does what. It is just things becoming things, and it all is just at a low smolder of heat and occasional guttering flames bursting up like pus from beneath the mat of organic material. It is profoundly uncomfortable.
Just give Milan a second to drive heave. And okay, there we go.
Obsidian gets that. And also, by just kind of snap responsive experimenting with the fire and looking around and trying to figure out, is there a pattern to this? Realizes something very important. Every piece of organic material in here is exactly dead. It's not rotting. It's not showing any signs of decay or breakdown in terms of what happens to rot. It's showing breakdown in the sense of physical weathering and, the entropic effects of just things falling apart. But everything in here is just inert. But it still has essence. And your fire can't burn it. This should be wood essence. This should be wood essence that you just light a finger, snap your fingers and a spark comes out and it touches it and the essence catalysts begin to burn and the wood essence is converted via fire essence, and that just basic metaphysical stuff that they even teach you in the military as ways of how you handle military magic. And then you just kind of spark the fire essence onto it and it's just nope. It is the equivalent of tossing a match into a can of gasoline and the match just goes out. And the gasoline just sits there. By all accounts, it's gasoline, but it's not burning. It's not doing anything. You can't affect it. It's just sitting there. It's locked up inside of all of this material.
Hey, oh, this sucks.
Just the silence in the humidor fucking meat chamber. It's just, man, this sucks.
Meat chamber.
And if you please tell me where to go so I can focus on that rather than not vomiting everywhere.
Well,
I can't stop thinking about it. Just staring at the meat. I can't stop thinking about the meat.
Yeah, no, it is a violation to your understanding of the essence inside your own body. You know how this works. You embody how this works. It's not working.
Rapose's whole manner and posture has relaxed to an alarmingly fluid degree. This is a way that you haven't seen him stand or move since we went into the Wild Pocket way back. As he just kind of slides forward and is constantly, gradually shifting, looking around, considering all angles, and in place of his usual silent composure, he is just kind of in a steady, low state of muttering thoughts aloud at a volume that is pretty easy to hear while you're in conversational range. He's just kind of noting and commenting on all of the things that we just had exposited from these roles. Well, this is where you are cultivating your new candidate for tenebrous matter, then yes, it will be warmer there, and it will be continued muttering about, thinking about the general layout of the place before, in response to Angler's question, just stopping, like, audible, like, kind of clicking of bones and looking at him. And then just pointing sharply that way. His next great beast or beasts should be in that.
All right. Let's go.
They
take
may
care
be
of
in the
it then.
yards, they may be within the tower, as one of those is situated there, and that would be... Starts muttering a bunch of things about, like, numbers and dimensions and proportions. Yes, vaguely appropriate place to house the appropriate apparatuses.
Oh, it's gross in here. Oh, no. Ew, no.
And just as we were
pretty
moving
sure-
through, Repose is scraping at and scratching at and generally disrespecting and inflicting violence upon every surface that comes within his reach.
Yeah.
Those
Milan,
sounds are
you're-
going to be in my top 10 never again sounds after this.
Yeah, you're pretty sure Milan just stepped on a pile of grapes that are actually eyeballs. It is bad in here. It is bad.
Lon, can't you fly? Or rather, can't your horse fly?
Alright, I need to put in Stalwart Daughter on the map.
Yes.
That was actually my next question of, wait a minute, did you make the very sensible decision of not bringing your very good horse in this horrible meat monstrosity?
No.
A decision none of us would blame you for at all, because, come on.
Of course I'm bringing my horse with me.
Yeah, I figured, but still.
Uh,
The question had to be raised.
there.
So you've denied it its capacity to ignite, and that's all well and good, and as yet remains unmeasured. However, And-
Stalwart Daughter actually refuses to walk over the threshold. It is the first time you have ever seen Stalwart Daughter genuinely disgusted and terrified by anything. She just looks in and just bolts herself to the ground like, no, nuh-uh.
Yeah, I'm with my horse on this.
It just turns around and stops perceiving it, just like, no, nope, nah. If I don't look at it, it's not real. Alright, so heading upward into Eastern Chamber. So...
scrape a bunch of the terrible goop into a jar for later examination and study.
Hmm. So the door between each of these rooms is at least 30 or 40 feet tall, and they are made of unidentifiable material to you. And it's inlaid with maybe soul steel? It's hard to tell. It looks like maybe it's the bedrock of the underworld. It's black. It's Dwarf Fortress Slate, basically. It is unclassifiable super rock from the underworld that is also non-elemental. It's just, this is what the underworld is made of. This is void rocks. So, it actually takes you a considerable amount of muscle effort to just open the damn door. It's not that it's locked, it's just that you have to shove with your entire fucking body to get one of the double doors open. And it is scraping across the ground and scraping up against the encrusted bits of the floor on both sides of it as you do so. The good news is that as you open the door and air starts coming in, the smell is going away. The bad news is that it's a different smell. It's not a great smell, but it's still... It's not great, but it's not on fire.
Of course you would be like that. Rooms must have doors, so you install doors, but you don't need doors, so you just move through walls. Continuing to grumble about ghost house problems.
Yep.
While forcing this thing open.
So, something that you notice immediately is that this is not a scale thing on the map. This is a smaller chamber. And where the pyre chamber had been basically an open flaming pit, just kind of a refuse pile of bioorganic waste, this feels more like someone's deranged fever interpretation of a garden. This is a more cultivated version of what you saw in the pyre chamber. All of the growth in here looks somewhat managed. Kind of. There is a more deliberate effort to enforce patterns on the growth forms and see what happens when, you branch. Okay, this one is turning into a branch. Let's tie some stakes around it and some rope and force it to grow upwards. Is that going to change how it works? Answer, not really. Now we just kind of have a bunch of blood vessels oozing liquid of undeterminate origin onto the ground. But it kind of looks like a tree. A little bit. Maybe. It is generally it is difficult to understand, looking at it, what the actual goal here is beyond seeing what this stuff does.
Do we have Sana back yet?
Sana?
Just to make sure that we're...
Yeah, I'm not going to go too far without Sana.
On board for status here.
Sorry.
Okay, good.
Oh, yeah, okay. It's alright. Yeah, like a good chunk of this chamber and some of the pyre and some of the last breaths floor space is taken up by the tower, and presumably the tower also has a link to the center chamber of dust, and then the other rest of the chambers. But in here, it doesn't look like there's some sort of monster abomination waiting to jump you, or some sort of big tube with a giant man with big spiky talon hands or anything like. It's just a nightmare garden brought to you by a machine learning image that has been given really weird instructions. And just kind of confirming Obsidian's observations, all of it is essence dead. It is locked within all of the material. And I'm actually going to have Angler roll, specifically Finesse Sagacity.
I love that. Let me double check my sheet.
Because you were the first one in here.
I sure was.
Alright. You do not notice it, but it does not have negative consequences.
Okay.
Repose will be second person in. Roll Finesse Sagacity. The difficulty is now 7.
I'll go ahead and throw the excellency behind that. And also, so as proposed, he is making his way over there. He has, amidst his, battlefield mumbling, occasionally strikes up and advances conversation with the jar of bio-goo. And has hit upon notes about, like, he's been brainstorming through briefly in, like, very dense clerical old tongue all of the fundamental kinds of transmutation that wood can undergo.
Mm-hmm.
Including very quickly arriving at petrification.
Oh yeah.
You know, if you
Yep.
don't really feel like facilitating flourishing or outgrowth or conflagration, if you just want to become a thing that is static, that jealously hoards its energies in a fixed arrangement until someone dares muster the force to overcome your fundamental stability, we already have a thing that's rocks. You can just be rocks. It's okay to be a stone. You can go back to being stone.
Brought to you by Rock Gang.
Not every day is one where you must leave your bed.
All right, roll it with a stun. That's when it clicks for you. That's what's happening here. He's trying to readjust the wheel. He's trying to dislodge what the center is. His problem the whole time is that, okay, I have unmoored stability, but the underworld is stagnation, and wood itself is dynamism. So I will suborn it to be the new axis on the wheel to turn, and then to stop. As you look around, you recognize something. The buds of all of the growth in the room are alive-ish. They are sclerotic, they are immediately dying off, they are diseased, but they are flowing with some mockery of actual life. But the moment that they are able to branch out further, that they are able to grow and able to have other essence flow through it, it calcifies, it petrifies, it ceases, it dies, it locks up. This is a consumptive tumor. You are effectively inside a teratoma, an unrestrained pile of growth that locks up essence and metabolic essence, essentially, but continues growing on the outside. And the moment that a piece of it is no longer useful for expanding outwards and consuming essence from the environment and locking it within the matrix of the wood essence, it just stops. It becomes inert. It becomes the suspension of death without the promise of renewal, without the possibility of decay and reuse. This is effectively essence gray goo, if you do not find a way of unlocking the essence inside of it. It is going to consume the essence, turn it into itself, and then become a static, uninteractable pile.
Repose briefly returns to being silent and kind of having to think of looking at these, and then eventually agitates back into muttering. Well, if that is the case, then surely you've already considered the obvious response, but then if you do feel this close to your revelation, how many moves are you thinking ahead? And then kind of clicking, sliding, turning away. Yang, which acids do you carry? Routinely?
What? Oh, like metallic or stone or organs, or what are you trying to melt?
See, if this is wood that is rejecting wood and ceasing to be, if this is wood that may not ignite, then it is behaving more like stone. And like in a,
I think we would
Propose
all
kind
agree.
of briefly slides into almost a more Yangish level of kind of freeform blathering of a word cloud of ideas. It is weird to hear Propose just kind of make emotive noises and gesture at a thing of interest.
So, Yang's
So,
just
like,
gonna...
normally, soft water nurtures and aids the growth of wood, so the strong waters, fierce waters, right? They would,
Water with a knife.
right?
You look over and Yang is on the floor, like, looking through each acid. I feel like I need to roll something to be like, what does...
Force sagacity to pick out what you think would be the right answer here. Okay, so you get 2 answers here. 1 sec. So, the old standby, Aqua Regia. Just to dissolve everything but precious metals acids. Or dissolve some precious metals and not others. It is one of your good benchmark acids for testing how strong Earth Essence is and what form it is in. You pour it on to a pile of the growth.
Can I offer you a gambit, actually?
Go right ahead.
So what... Okay, so I have 2 different acids, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if I pour them into each other, it would probably do nothing functionally. But I want to add 2 different additives to each batch. One that, when you pour one on top of the other, does some really weird chemical shit.
So you basically want them to be a 2-part epoxy, but acids.
I'm gonna make a battery on the floor, basically, and we'll just see what that does.
Okay, yeah. All right. Roll me.
Just gonna put some, electrical shit.
Yeah, roll me 2 extra dice
All right.
for a stunt on it. So you take your acids, you very carefully create a miniature version of the cycle of essence as it should be operating, and a way of like, all right, if this thing interacts in any way with the cycle of essence, it's going to get dragged back into it. Pour it on the ground. Wait. And you realize that all of your acids are becoming inert. Like, after about 20 seconds, you can just put your finger in it, and it is just kind of neutral water.
That's weird.
Something about the way that this element is working is rejecting how wood operates. And not just wood. It is not saying, I am rocks now. It is, no, I am nothing. I am the antithesis. I am the void. I am oblivion. The only thing you realize that can break this down is oblivion, is the void. That's the end game here, is to create a form of life that cannot decay in any way except by the decay of the underworld. That is the ultimate goal of the Weaver's elemental cycle, is to recycle everything into this homogeneous mass and then have the underworld destroy it.
The music has stopped.
Oh, 1 sec.
There we go.
Okay.
So, thinking about how this is laid out, Milan's starting to get a bit of terrifying, morbid curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
What does this negative wood interact with negative air look like? So Milan's going towards air wood door.
In Milan's case, I'm actually going to call for a strength athletics roll to see if you can get the door open on your own at all. Angler and Obsidian, I'm not making roll because they have very demonstrated they are strong, but...
Now, Darren, Here's the funny thing.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, according to my sheet,
Right, you do have a lot of athletics.
Milan's got a bit of
So in your case, it would be less raw muscle and more just leverage, I would say.
Milan notices the doorstop and kicks it out of the way.
Yeah, alright. Basically, you try huffing and puffing and shoving and wheezing, and then you go, wait a second, hang on. What if I just... And then you just kind of start moving a wedge, and you just start using leverage to your advantage, and just helping the door slide across the floor instead of grind across the ground, and you are able to get it open much more easily. Now roll me fortitude resistance.
What would resistance be?
Oh no, that's physique now.
Oh no. Okay, here we go. Nope.
All the air
Goodbye.
is sucked out of your lungs, and it's not coming back. Your diaphragm feels paralyzed.
Oh no, not again.
Everyone on
Nice.
Hearthnet feels an immediate fight or flight response from Milan's direction.
Zoop over
Yang-
there, grab,
Yang is
deliver.
familiar with this feeling. He takes out the weed mask that he used to survive that one incident.
Yes,
gonna-
okay.
Slam that into Milan and forcibly uncollapse those lungs. There we go.
Yeah, I'm not gonna make a roll for it because calling back to the fucking pressurized weed hot boxer to make your lungs work on a fucking ventilator.
It turns
yeah,
out
no,
this is
that's
actually
free.
an excellent therapy for collapsed lungs. It's amazing. On top of being very
fucking
funny.
somehow it is, yes. So you just kind of slam it over Milan's face, mustache drooping out the bottom, as a pressurized wave of smoke just hits the inside of the lungs and purges out the actively taking up negative space essence within them. Just kind of in a audible kind of thunk as Milan is coughing, wheezing, and almost vomiting, but able to breathe again. For the rest of you, now that the door is open, are noticing that the air here is very thin and you are having a lot of difficulty breathing, but it is not shutting your lungs down. At least while you're on this side of the door.
Angler's gonna take a moment and just fill his lungs with water. Yeah, try to drown me twice. I'll show you how it's done.
Repose has, the moment that the situation was under control over here, just kind of very quickly scampered back over to where Stalwart Daughter is remaining, paralyzed with
refuse.
horse terror.
So, I actually had an
Just-
idea.
Mhm.
Milan sent her to go find another entrance into the tower, anywhere that she can squeeze her head into, because she has the ability, anywhere she can fit her head, she can fit her whole body into. I'm sending Stalwart Daughter off to go look for another entrance into the tower.
God, okay,
Alright.
So she's going to be miss not appearing in this scene for quite a while.
let's see.
Alright, if that is happening, then just briefly turning attention back to the,
Mhm.
back to the site of the acid experiment, and considering the observations made thereof, and just kind of lean in close to the stone plant. Yes, that is all well and good to aspire to, but you are not a polarity. You are not a direction. You are an individual instance, a specimen. No amount of repetition of imperfect, impure acts will create perfected and purified entities. And he kind of slides into a lot of the a lot of the vocabulary that he will actually use to talk about spiritual health, though being spoken menacingly and aggressively to this very, very sad, sulking, delinquent fake plant. And then just take out just a very, very small, stiff brush. And just kind of, like, briefly tap it along, like, one of these stone leaves that was not interacted with the acid. And just being like, so are you going to try to claim to me that there has been no effect, that there has been no change, that if I do this, again, just tapping off with the brush on one of the stone leaves, probably kicking off a tiny amount of dust, and if I were to then come over here and do the same, that there will be no perceptible difference. But even that is being are you to claim that simply because I do not perceive a difference, that you perceive no difference, that you experience no difference. And you just kind of continue to taunt and brush at this, and he's going to look very closely to flaw-finding examination and see if there has been, in fact, a complete, perfect shrugging off of the effects of the acid, or if there has been even the tiniest bit of a reaction on the surface of this thing. Even superficial damage from the bubbling.
Is there a roll involved with that or no?
As written, it is reduced difficulty on a reveal weakness.
Okay, I'm not gonna make you roll again, but because it's not in combat, I'm going to say that you get 2 pieces of information out of this. 1, yes, it actually truly did not be affected. It was not scarred, it was not changed, it was not altered. It just drank the essence and self-perpetuated. Number 2, you realize something by that. This isn't a distributed network of individuals. This is a singular This is the elemental. Not this room. Every single bit of wood essence that you're going to see in here, in the pyre chamber, in this chamber, in the last breath chamber, and wherever else you're going to go, all of it is the entire dragon. It is a single entity wearing 1,000 masks. It is creating false imitations of singular life as an endless repetition of just growing and ravenously hungering. If you change a single part of it, you're not changing the whole, because the whole is much, much bigger. And it is not affected by the pieces.
Okay, so Milan's got that lungs full of weed. So Milan's thinking about all of this. About how he's created this. You want to be the end, the void? Nah, this isn't void. That's void. That what sucked out my air. That's void. You're just dumb wood. Fine. You want to do this? If that man up there thinks he can shift the wheel from earth to wood, then damn it, I'm going to do the same. I'm going to shift it to void. And Milan's going to have think, okay, how do I fuck with the elemental wheel? Milan has 0 limiters on his brain right now.
Well, if you have about 3,000 years of experience in geomancy, an entire man's powered by third circle sorcery, immaculately planned amount of essence flow from an entire region of the creation flowing in to use in exacting detail, the corpses of a couple of elemental dragons to set up around the things, and a lot of essence fuel. You might be able to get something out of it, maybe.
Yeah, well, I got my hearth, and we've done a lot of things, so we'll wing it. We've done a lot stupider things, so here we go. I'm gonna think with my whole brain.
All right, go ahead.
Can I have a stunt for Milan being high as fuck?
Yo, yes, absolutely. I should have said that.
7 successes to okay. What's something stupid Milan can do to? Just something stupid.
I'm trying to think of the ideas that you would be getting right now, and I'm just kind of scratching my beard a little bit.
Milan is currently thinking by scraping off bits of this weird matter and just throwing it into the direction of the void room. Like, nah, you go over there.
If it is defined by both its reactions and its lack of reactions to the rest of the elemental wheel, both necrotic and elemental, then it had to have that happen some way. They had to get it set up. The Weaver had to have a seed, a patient zero, a something for the initial growth to start. And that is going to be the oldest and most calcified part of it. And taking that out isn't necessarily going to take the dragon out, but it is certainly going to help you better understand the growth pattern. Because you're on the fringes of it. This is still actively moving life.
Repose. You said you sense something weird doom towards the center of this building? Like, you mentioned doom, but where was that doom?
Yeah, that would be it.
Let's go punch that doom.
Look, core-wise.
Alright. And I think that is a good narrative point to mention. Hey, you hear our stalwart daughter screaming in somewhat horrifyingly hoarse-voiced alarm from the left side tower. That is not a sound of a horse having a good time.
Angler, get that door open.
Done.
Yeah, I'm going to assume Obsidian is inside at this point.
Yeah, I believe Newbie's taking a moment, so...
Yeah, I know. So I'm just going to do that. Alright, door opens, and as everyone starts piling in, a couple of things become apparent, just all boiling into the room. This room is, despite the overlap with the wood areas, the inside seems eerily elementally neutral. It's like a punched out hole where all of it is just the material made of the doors and all of it is just the bedrock of the underworld. There is a spiral staircase going up several hundred meters at least into what is likely the upper reaches of the tower. If you had to guess, Repose, geomantically from how you scoped this place out, these two towers are basically the tuning forks that were used to attract, resonate, and redirect the essence flows coming inward. So it is likely that whatever is up in the tops of these towers is not as relevant now that there is not an essence flow. The more relevant thing is that Stalwart Daughter squeezes through the crack of the far door, just like literally bashing her head into the door until there is enough of a crack to come through bloodily, and just squeezes through in an abject, foaming at the mouth panic. And like the moment Milan actually comes up, she will actually hang on. Milan, roll me again, Fortitude Physique.
Okay, not a botch this time.
She is not doing great, but neither are you, and neither are you expecting it, so it is a very ungainly and graceless motion, but she headbutts you square in the chest to knock you over, slithers down under you as you fall onto her back, and the moment you are running up to catch her, she just grabs you and just starts running with you, just like, no, we are going. And that is when, one sec, music change.
We have a second to put 2 and 2 together, seeing the horse running. Can we make an action before something slithers
Yes.
to the room to murder us?
Yes.
Okay. Angler's going to adopt water dragon form.
Yeah, if anybody wants to put on stances or anything, go ahead. As you are briefly concerned, okay, something gonna kick down the door, is gonna something happen. And then there is a darkening at the far end of the room. As something begins to seep through. Something... It is either a gas so dense it looks physical, or some sort of free-floating fluid. It is unclear which. Either way, it's big. And it is defying what any of its shape should be doing. It is smoky black tendrils, and it is coming through the door towards you.
Come on, get behind me.
Alright, stance is on. Anima
we punch it.
is dimly glowing.
Going to say up front, Repose, make me a force sagacity roll. Because I will tell you for free, without rolling, this is a lower ghost. That's the Weaver's lower ghost. This is not a fight you want to pick. This is a time to run. That is his lower soul coming to get you. It is time to find a way around it.
Take it. Right?
This is something that theoretically you may be able to take in a fight. It would also have a very high chance of killing one of you. And this is not the most dangerous thing you're probably going to see. Probably best to pick your battles.
This is not presently worth the effort to attempt to unmake.
Yep.
This is the sort of thing that is better outmaneuvered.
How quickly is it moving?
Probably at a brisk jog pace. It's not very fast, but it is basically inexorable. It is not stopping, and it doesn't look like it's going to get much in the way of being interrupted.
And how quickly did it move through the floor?
At that same pace. Like, it moved through the cracks of the door like it was not there.
Okay.
This is the hungry ghost of a first stage solar. Translation, run.
Yeah, I know. As
No, I'm explaining that to chat. Sorry.
Yes, to the audience.
As
Low
I'm backing
ghost.
up, I'm
Feeling
gonna send a
ghost,
message
not
to-
thinking ghost.
I'm going to send a message to Milan. Get on your horse. Go back outside. see
I'm
if you
already
can-
on my horse.
Yeah, go back outside. See if you can find anyone outside who can grab this thing's attention and lead it on a merry chase away.
Repose can basically say for free that's not going to happen.
Worth a
If this
shot.
is tied to the will of the Weaver, it is tied to either wanting to kill you in particular or protect the Mance in particular. It is not going to leave.
This is more a grudge at the bottom of a well than
Yes.
your old business partner who wants you to learn the spirit of the holidays.
Yeah, this is an animate curse level of disconnected from humanity.
Does it seem to be following any one of us in particular, or whoever is closest?
Whoever's close.
Okay.
Well, Milana is currently at the whims of Stalwart Daughter, who is getting out.
Who is getting the fuck out of here, yes.
Angler's going to try to be the last one out the door because I think he's the fastest of the crew when he needs to be. Go.
All right.
Actually,
so-
I could probably roll some dice for Stalwart Daughter for her to getting out. Because she has 8 dice for running.
Yeah, go right ahead. You can also stunt on it by the descriptions I gave of how intensely she was trying to get the fuck out.
Oh no! Oh no!
Alright. So, first of all, y'all are gonna have to give me an exit plan. Where are you going and how are you getting there?
It's a kind of venture. Well, our nearest point of exit is back out through the beam hole.
Mm-hmm.
And we haven't opened that many of the doors, so...
Yeah.
Or
Only the wood chamber doors are
closest
open.
exit is up the stairs and out through the top of the tower.
Mm-hmm. Or running past it and going down the dust door, because Stalwart Daughter did smash it open.
Go up, jump over, and then straight down. Because Stalwart Daughter came in from above, correct?
She came in through the dust door, which is on the ground floor.
Through the ground floor, okay.
Yang is pretty hard to hit.
You go back towards Pyre. We need to think about this as we're going. Like, we just need to get out of this room, otherwise we're going to get absorbed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Zoop. So yeah, everybody gets going, but...
Alright, I have an idea for a move to attempt.
Alright.
As we are making our way away from it in previous room, take the jar of goop from the pyre room, and we have learned that the entire biomass here is a super colony. It's all the body of one entity.
Mm-hmm.
Working on the intuition that the Weaver's Lower Soul's primary drive is to just kind of lounge about the place, keeping things in order and to protect the project.
A good intuition.
Leave the jar precariously balanced on the edge of a shelf. It's like, while we're moving through this room, just quickly dart over here and put the jar about to fall off of a high shelf, and then dart away from that. And see if even the appearance of peril near any of the biogoo prompts a reaction from it.
Roll me finesse presence with a stunt.
Six.
It hesitates to evaluate it, but pretty quickly comes to an apparent conclusion of, whatever, at that. Like, that is not important enough compared to current task. It pauses for long enough to make that assessment and then keeps coming back after you. But you have proven, yeah, it will evaluate threats to the manse and change its priorities based on pretty simple heuristics like that. It's just that right now, you are all number one on the list. that did give you some breathing room on getting further away, and noticing that at the end of the pyre room is also a door to the dust room.
I think we just head to there then, and just kind of circle around faster than Ed can and just jump down. I mean, this thing's gonna be chasing us no
Unfortunately,
matter what.
Stalwart Daughter is heading out of the tower. I am on horse control right now.
No, how Starward Daughter is running away from the thing.
Oh, okay.
Like, just direct opposite direction of she is in blind panic. She's
Okay.
just, wherever it is, I'm not.
Okay, so
I have an idea.
Welcome back.
Go on.
Yes. Sorry. As we are running away. That's right, baby. Obsidian pulls out Chekhov's grenade.
Yeah, I was wondering if anyone was going to use this.
This is not a new one made at some other point. This is the original one that Yang made first a very long time ago.
This is the
Which
wild
I
pocket
would-
grenade.
I would put forward means it's more unstable.
Very unstable at this point. It's been months.
And as we are all panicking, trying to get away from this thing, I'm going to pull the pin and just throw the grenade at it.
Yang has a very horrified expression.
Yang understands exactly how bad an idea using this munition is at this point.
Wait, before you pull that pin, Angler's going to grab it and chuck it to Milan and say, "You throw it, you're better."
I will say that it
let
actually
Obsidian
does
throw it.
not matter in terms
let
of
Obsidian throw
it is big enough.
Okay.
This is you are throwing it at the broadside of a barn. All right. Now it is time for everyone's favorite mechanic, chance time. How does
Wild
this
magic?
go?
Are we doing wild magic right now?
All right. So the first thing that happens is it explodes, and it explodes violently. This is not a chaff grenade anymore. It is just a grenade. This is all of the things had enough time to get really, really antsy to blow up, and they got the signal and went boom. And a large chunk of the flesh bits on the inside of the chamber, the anti-wood chamber, just explode. And that makes it quite angry seeming. But at the same time, it circles back to check on that crater. And as it is checking, the eruption of rust from the pillar, from the Sword of Creation, rockets up into it. And at first you're like, okay, it doesn't seem affected. It's not a Fey entity. It doesn't seem to be that bothered by it. And then you look around at the flesh on the inside of the room, and there's ever so slight blistering all over it. And it seems completely distracted by this, and you have bought yourself an escape opportunity.
Down the hole, down the hole, down the hole, run.
I don't think Obsidian has ever stopped running at any point during this. He threw the grenade and just kept moving.
Pose is slinking along and still taking opportunities to issue grim whispers to the meat plant life all around. Not so inert, are you then? Gosh, you're looking reactive.
Alright, so y'all jump down, and down, and down the stairs, and down the stairs, and down the stairs, and much like the Fae encountered, this stairway doesn't seem to stop. It is a spiral staircase that continues going down, and every couple of landings has doorways out to the sides. And they are almost entirely unmarked, aside from a couple of symbols. And you swear at one point maybe it's looping, or maybe there are multiple rooms, or oh god, Repose realizes they're in the labyrinth.
I posted a Scooby-Doo skit. Does it look like?
More of a, what's that SCP with the giant infinite staircase? Kind of more that feeling, except, like, running down the thing.
Insert Mario 64 Infinite Staircase theme here.
Yes.
Oh, I was thinking Snake Eater.
No, because this is anxiety.
One sec. Just got to do a bit of backwards long jumping, and okay, we're there.
Can I get Milan's best Yahoo?
Yahoo!
Pretty good. So yeah, for those who are not reposed, the labyrinth is the underbelly of the underworld, where it stops pretending not pretending. It stops being impacted as much by the living world above, and it is the kind of nightmare warren of impossible space as it breaks down in closer proximity to Oblivion and the Neverborn. This is the non-space where most of his actual important research is going on. So, yeah, no wonder this staircase doesn't make any physical sense. You're not in Kansas anymore. This is no longer going to be operating by navigating via reasonable logic. It is, where the hell are we and where are we going?
Puts away my navigate roll.
Well, the navigate roll can work. You just have to describe to me how you are navigating.
Hold on.
Would it help if we had someone with no sense of direction in the situation?
I will say if you fail, it will be incredibly bad. But
Okie
you might
dokie.
get an advantage. This is one of those things where you might get some bonuses, but if you fail, it will be a botch automatically.
I will use ambush sensing premonition basically for this entire scene, just in case someone's about to jump us through a door, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah,
that is noted.
In the rare scenario, hold up. Where is is it? Yes. I believe. I'm actually not going to spend a mote, but I am going to look at Repose and ask Repose if he noticed what happened with the grenade. Should the undead have reaction to the rust?
No. No, they should not.
And that wasn't undead exactly. That was Faye?
Did we just run into one of the...
Ruffo's just kind of looking briefly at the balls again. So that's it this time. Cheating. Just going out of bounds to find your secret ingredient. Little bit of noise that you don't normally ever hear out of Repose. That is, I guess, rocks laughing. Just brief Dark Souls chuckle out of Repose.
Rocks grinding against each other, trying to simulate a laugh. Scratch, scratch, scratch.
Just a sawtooth wave. Emitting.
It sounds like a Banjo-Kazooie boss.
God.
Sorry, the laugh being described as sawtooth as an audio person, that hit me particularly different. Lord. Anyway, the long and short of it is, one of us that has it and has moats, not me, should probably put off the Fey Protection spell.
Yeah, I can throw that up.
Yeah, we can both expend for integrity protecting.
Yep.
I'm gonna allow this because this is my favorite joke to come out of Elden Ring. The shit ass dead dude. You are the shittiest of them all.
So, yes, if you have a logic by which you will be navigating, you may make a navigate roll with a stunt.
Head currently empty. Apologies.
That's all
I'd
good.
like to offer an assist roll of navigate using
Okay.
Milan's messed up sense of direction.
All right, go right ahead.
I do an assist roll, and also that if I can vibe check all the senses directions and be like, no, not that one.
Just gut check via rancid vibes exposure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
sure.
Milan is going to be working off of not so much physical direction, but thematic direction.
Raw intuition.
Wait,
Milan's
who's
looking
making
at
the
this
actual
place
roll
like a
then?
video game level.
Because
I
Yang
mean-
was assisting and Milan's assisting. Who's making the actual navigate check?
Obsidian.
Aha.
Yeah. And I'm thinking of a charm to use on this.
So I want to make sure I got this right. Milan and Yang have added 9 extra dice to the pool.
Yeah,
That
which
gives
would
me
bring
dice.
me up to 19.
Okay.
As I'm going to use... As the crow flies, but turn ways, I want to use the theoretical as the Fae flies. I want
Alright.
to use as the crow flies, but thinking as something that doesn't think laterally. What is the fastest point between 2 points to something that yeah. give me fucking Darkseid's vision, like eye beams of this is what I'm asking.
Yes.
Anywho.
Sick.
Double check that crow uses a moat, yes, no.
Oh yeah, you get 1 extra dice because of the teamwork bonus.
Ah, well.
Let
me
You
roll.
would get more if not for dice cap.
1d10. No.
Oop. Closed the wrong window. Okay.
Oh, dope. Crow flies doesn't actually use a moat. That's just an innate skill.
Okay, so thinking non-linearly, you come to a couple of conclusions. First of all, you are unsettlingly not comfortable, but understanding of the logic as you go down. This place is gnawing at you very distantly from the back of your head, but when you start to express a particular desire, like I want to go to a staircase that ends at 3 doors. There you go. You end there. So you think, I want to go to a staircase where the Fae have been... Wait, that door's been blown open. Like, wide open. That's not... You are standing on the landing where, presumably, the Fae exploring party had gotten themselves to.
I have an idea.
Mm-hmm.
I want to perform and pretend that I've just come home from a very long day of evil scheming, and those motherfucking wacky kids have once again fucked it all up in the attempt that, like, he probably has some sort of failsafe if he's just in a mood and cannot deal with this right now.
Roll me force performance.
It's probably not a big enough number.
Yeah, you get a sense of just kind of stomping around impetulantly, and then You get the idea that it might work, but no. This place knows its owner, and you're not it.
I'm not method acting hard enough.
Can I give a force performance supporting roll to that of
Oh, like I'm trying to get into the role and then you just slap me or something.
playing the part of those dang dragon bloods?
All right, yeah, sure, go ahead.
This is my force performance.
So I roll 7 more dice, I guess.
No, you roll 10 more dice.
Oh. Yeah, how's that instead?
There we go.
So I will open a question to you. Do you want to investigate anything on the way down, or do you want to go straight to the final boss? That is the roll that you have made. Like, I will tell you, there is valuable information you can get on these staircases. I am giving you the skip to Lavos button if you want to push it.
Hey, what's this bucket doing here?
Yes.
So every time we go down about, I don't know, 2 flights of stairs, there's just a bucket there, just always on the side.
Something. You start seeing the same door over and over and over.
I want to open up some of these doors. But if the rest of the people are like, no, we're just going to look inside the bucket, then sure.
Oh
We
no,
should
I
hit a
just found the
couple of
bucket.
doors. We should,
Yeah, we should probably visit.
I didn't think
Let's
that
not
would
do
work
the
that
fight.
hard. Yeah.
I didn't either, dude.
Let's go look at the DM's nice theme park, right?
Yeah.
We gotta rescue at least one Dark Warrior.
This is not pity. This is not pity.
No,
We're not doing this out of pity to Darren. It's because, like, no, I just want to see the cool stuff.
Also,
And
I will just be
Waiver,
up
if you
front.
ever- yeah.
Hey, the skip to Lavos bucket's usually a bad fucking idea unless you're ready.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? We're all in tip-top shape right now. Full modes, everything.
All right,
Blonde
so
eyes.
the first high point
good.
that you find is the words. The blown open door that the Fae found, and you are able to go inside and look around and see immediately that this place was a disaster area. This was torn to pieces. This was absolutely shit-wrecked 8 ways to Sunday. There are some corpses of some of the biomonsters that you've seen topside that are actually decaying. So they were clearly not part of the wood dragon experiment. You can see some sort of acid etching on the floor where something obviously got melted. And the 2 other primary things is, one is that you see a laboratory or some sort of other experimental facility in the back where most of the biomonsters had escaped out of, and most of it is shattered and pretty open to just perusal. And in the front of it, in the area that had been looking around, there is, in front of the giant pile of, danger acid markings, is the scale model of the Manse. And there is also a lot of research texts scattered around. Kind of haphazardly. Some of them are still on the original shelving with their original sorting pattern, and others had been quite clearly just tossed over somebody's shoulder off of the bookcase.
Is the model of the mats in its normal state, or has anything about it, changed to reflect the current situation up top?
It is no longer having any essence flow into it, and it appears to have a tiny hole in the southeast side.
Alright.
So you may investigate elements of the room, ask if there is anything around, whatever you see fit to do.
Well, if there's papers there, Milan's good at papers, so Milan's going to start digging through the research notes that were scattered about.
All right, give me a Fortitude Embassy roll.
7 successes.
You don't speak Old Realm, do you?
Damn it. Nope.
However, you recognize important research notes when you see them. And even if you can't speak the language, you can read the diagrams as you are skimming through and you see a bunch of very elaborate occult diagrams and things like that. And then just very interestingly, they have been crossed out in fits of rage, but they are still included in the binders and piles. So it is very clear that, like, alright, this is something that I am furious at not working, but I'm still going to maintain it in case I need it later.
Oh, Milan's getting a not reading the notes for what they contain, but how the person writing them wrote them. That's Milan's
Yes.
profiling.
Frustration.
Weaver. Yeah.
Lots and lots of frustration, and you get an immediate sense for the research style is constant, very tiny incremental changes. Like, changing one variable of multiple thousand and then running the entire experiment again and again and again and again and again and again, because he has all of the time in the world. So most of the notes are just failure, 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 failure. And it looks like basically the same summation notes on a lot of them. But you start to see a pattern emerging as there's an arc towards the ideas that you have found, the ideas of working around the innate limits of the essence associated with oblivion, with the void, and leaning into it and using it as, okay, get rid of decay, and like you can start seeing diagrams of the 5-element pentagram, and instead of a pentagon in the center, it is a literal punched out hole in the paper, anchoring the wheel with oblivion itself, using the consumptive decay as the forward motion of the wheel rather than the elements feeding into each other naturally. Just having them spiral the drain effectively. You get a feeling that this is something that he has been working on for a very, very, very long time, and this is not the first idea he's had that is looking remotely successful, but this is probably the most successful he's ever been, or at least very close to that. For 7 successes, what's one other thing I can get out of my notes?
Let me think. What else would Milan be?
Yeah, what would you be
into?
looking for out of this?
Can I read the text from Milan to make it a little bit easier?
Yeah. I will let you basically get the information you would get out of the roll if you spoke Old Realm by reading over their shoulder.
Yeah.
Again, a lot of it is just very dry note-taking, but a lot of it is very terse and irritated and disappointed notes on why things failed. It is, if anything...
Is there a note that looks out of the ordinary from everything else? Like, is there any of the notes where he did something different, not in his normal motives?
I will say that you find a stack of more recent papers that have a very large jump. Like, you can, while you're going through it, it feels very disconnected, but the more you go through, the more you realize that there is a through line of him iterating, and then there's a complete disconnect that you don't know how he reached of integrating wild patterns. And those research notes are sparse, limited, and very careful, and have several notes of spectacular failure, but look like they were an ongoing process.
Okay.
So this lab contains a bunch of destroyed experimental apparatus and a bunch of remains of biomonsters that were caught in blast and
Yes.
struck to ground. And we are seeing from this note that, like other formations of biomonsters here, that what we have here is a collection of the Weaver's disappointments and failures, and everything is things he looks down on, but these are the most locally and directly tied to his hand.
Yes.
Things that have failed him.
Yes, exactly.
I'm looking over at my sheet at stones from rubble restoration. Reduce all difficulty on repair ventures by 1, and with the appropriate expenditures and shenanigans, repair the otherwise irreparable. So as Milan is sharing, like, this profile of the research notes, Reposure is slinking around, looking at the various creatures, and just kind of sweeping some of the debris and dust into more orderly piles without thinking about it. But then actually starts picking up and moving the bodies together. Taking inventory of how much is there. Arms, legs, torsos, organs, bones,
Meat, bones. A lot of bones. Holy shit, a lot of bones. No wonder there were so many notes about bones, and how many frustrated notes about bones don't count.
And well, unless any of the other players would like to intercept the thought of what if we just try to build ourselves a little bone golem, little meat friend.
Bodum.
You sure? Well, actually,
Yes.
it wouldn't be that hard.
Taylor's gonna move
Yes,
to the door.
comma, Yang has to be involved.
Okay, so we're in a meat room, right?
No, actually, you are in basically obsidian and slate and void rock.
Yeah, this lab doesn't seem to have much of the new meat presence.
This is one of the old meat labs.
Oh, I want to just like go on all fours and start sniffing around for where the meat is.
Okay, so with your giant success earlier, at points on the staircase, you could see the strands of the new flesh, as it were, coming up from below.
I'm gonna give you a medical check. So Yang's
Okay.
sniffing along the ground and he sees a strand. I want to put my ear to it, cartoon style, and listen for a pulse. And using my medical skill, follow that to a beating heart that I can punch the wall in and rip out of, and then have something to make a bone golem out of.
You may try. Go ahead and roll your medical roll with the stun. I will tell you what you actually find.
I would like to stay at the doorway to keep an eye out for the ghost following us.
I want to use flawless diagnosis technique,
Hmm?
which is to diagnose the condition of the floor, to figure out where its organs are, and truth rendering gaze to discern the meaning of the meat, which is I guess force plus sagacity. Does that sound reasonable?
Yes.
So, do I get a stunt for any of the stupid Scooby-Doo shit I'm doing?
Yes, absolutely. You get a stun higher. Yeah.
Ah, that sucks.
Okay, so you sniff around looking for the meat, you are looking for the flesh. And you do find something cast off to the side. It's a little odd. It is a pile of thread that you can't quite put your finger on, but it feels weird. You were sniffing for life and found this, I guess?
I'm gonna grab it and start following it.
It is like a snarled up ball of thread in a corner.
All right, well, I'm gonna reach my hand into it and rip it out.
It makes your hand itch.
Odin.
You vaguely
Put that in the
remember
bag.
what it was like being a goose holding it.
I'm just gonna put this in a burlap sack and then
Alright.
show it to Repose.
I have my idea. I have my image of what has happened. So Repose has kind of laid out all of the various, identifiable bodies and gotten them into line on an open section of the floor. And just by, taking best of samples out of the remains, has started to assemble an effigy in a chair. And then sits down in another chair and just
And
looks
at this point,
this body firmly in the eye.
I would like Yang to come in at this point with the burlap sack full of question mark.
All right. The moment you open it, Repose can recognize that's Faye. That is an unwound Fairfolk.
The only thing I do is just upend it over the skeleton.
Would Repose interrupt that?
I think I know how I can work with this.
I'm gonna whisper to it, grow strong, get mad and get your revenge. You're gonna be the best.
All right.
Then
You trying to imitate what Repose does to ghosts.
sort of.
Repose. So, the parts at this point have all just been kind of loosely arranged into position where they should be relative to each other. But now, Repose will take out a needle and just offer the eye of that needle to the edge of this tangled mass of wild thread and just kind of give a bit of a tantalizing wave.
Jumps right through it.
And then speaking, once again, sliding back into that kind of barber, cleaner, otherwise person who is working for you, making small talk as they attend to you. Talking to this effigy he has built. Well, you are what you are. You were what you were. You were exactly what he made of you. You are all that he put into you. And if that was not enough for him, that is his problem. That is his mistake. Think of all that you are. Remember what you were, where you've been. Remember all that you were made from, all which has been, all which has led into you. And he starts, as he's doing this, sewing the pieces together with the wild thread.
Finesse craft roll with a stun.
Yes. Yes.
The body twitches. The thread dissolves into the corpse as the animating essence of necrosis and the wild self-destruct against each other, leaving nothing but that leaves space for the essence of the hearth to fill it in. It is, even with such immaculate, careful work, with such strange material, only barely alive, and only in the most generous sense. But it is a presence, and it is
All right.
staring up at repose.
So the follow-up that I have prepared for this as well, though, now that there is just this faintest spark of unlife that is inhabiting the body. But you know, what is the worst of this? That you were built on. All the times that he has done this before. Must now look out and see your newest, youngest brother, and he thinks everything of that, as he thought everything of you, and everyone who came before you. Do you really think the next child will succeed, where all of you have failed? Or is your youngest brother being set up for an even longer fall?
Just a strained, low gurgle from the throat.
And Repose will continue talking and start to go about the piles of all of the leftover material that was set aside and start to spark off soul fire cremations of the other remains to release the latent spirits within them. Along this note of continuing to speak of all of these things as a family, as a lineage, as a tradition of the memory of what was once great work in a great name, long forgotten, long discarded. A work that deserves to outlive the hand that made it.
Roll me your essence.
Well, there's two.
Many of the spirits that you call forth just simply cease. The moment they are re-invoked, they either had already long moved into the cycle of reincarnation, or they just are like, no, I'm tired, I'm done. Others are less sedate. And it is difficult to describe what exactly happens. They don't so much vanish as they do melt. They meld down into the floor, into the manse itself. They commit themselves into the flow of essence of the entire building. And you can feel that. You can feel that the essence flow of the manse itself now has aware presences within it. They're not happy. You're not sure what they're going to do, or if they're going to do anything without explicit direction. But there is now a wrench inside of the very carefully calibrated essence flow.
Well, now that I put forth the general vibe of the plan here, if anyone else wants to try and jump in and help get our new Frankenstein. Psyched up
Hell yeah.
for some patricide.
My super Frankenstein.
This is Frankenstein. Read the Bible.
This is Frankenstein. Drink absinthe.
He drinks Stapson.
I got nothing. I'm on watch duty.
I'm looking through stuff, seeing if there's anything I can add to this.
Are you sure the angler might have any sense of his ears burning? I've phrased this in terms of dads and children, of mishandled children in need of better upbringing.
Sorry, I'm on a phone call. That's why I'm off. So
Alright.
give me a minute.
Take your time. Actually, gonna step away a second myself.
Yep.
Okay, I got like 5 minutes. What's up? So, bone golem is being created. and such? I got
all
like half
of
of that. Sorry.
So basically, what happened was the cast off biomonsters that the Weaver had been using as iterative experiments towards the grand design of corrupted wood elemental have been stitched back together, and Repose gave them a talking to about being the representatives of a lineage of great work that has been cast aside. And that the newest little brother of their family, do you really believe that it's going to do better, or if it's going to be set up to fall as well?
Okay.
And is looking for possible motives and motivations for this thing, as well as several of the other spirits have melded into the manse itself now, and what that's going to be doing is an open question mark.
Okay. What I would like to do is, Angler kept watch for a moment and realized if that ghost catches us, it's not going to be coming from this way. It's going to come through the ceiling or the walls. And as he was listening to what Repose was suggesting, around the room, he started to looking for patterns, geometric shapes, and he's going to pick up a couple handfuls of sand or dust or whatever is in the area and start grinding it in his hands. And he's going to reach into his back pocket where he keeps his paints. He's going to stop for a second and then go to the paints he used at the Beast Village. And he's going to go in and find the blues and tip 2 fingers in. And he's beginning to slowly make patterns on the walls, very quietly to not draw attention while Repose was talking. And eventually, if this golem begins to look up, it's going to be over and over and over a generational thing where each member of the beast tribe becomes slightly better, slightly more refined based on the patterns and the steps of the ones before them, until eventually it comes to one that shows the beast tribe in a quiet, content place because of all the elders and ancestors that have shielded and protected them. And if it looks to him, he would say, I don't want to force you to fight. I don't want to force you to do something that you are not prepared to fight tooth and nail for. But if you want to be better, if you want to find that contentment, now is the time to step up. Now is the time to reach. We'll show you the way. These patterns will show you the way. Just trust us.
Krishna. The demon.
Okay.
The demon is the only way this creation has thrived. Desperation has led our father to pervert his own aim against itself.
Okay.
Do not fear our brother. Fear the demon.
All right, I'm back and caught exactly the end of that.
Yeah, Loon, did you want to jump in? Because I heard you mumble a
Yeah.
second.
Basically what you missed was Angler gave a speech about the lineage and legacy of the Beast Folk and how those who come before support those who come after, and not making this thing fight if it doesn't want to and if it's not able to, but if it wants to do better, this is the time to step up. And it was able to force itself to speak and give the name of the bound demon, Reznak, and say that it is the key as to why this the attempt is so successful, and additionally that the Weaver has gotten so blinded by trying to fight back against the impending retaliation that he has undermined himself in his own plan already. He has perverted his own aim against itself, was his exact words.
Quick clarifying question. The demon it mentioned, is that the same as don't, or is that different?
That is don't.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I understood right.
Yeah, this creature doesn't seem like it's going to be up for doing much fighting. Talking was barely something it could manage to do. It is barely held together, even with all of your work.
Angler's going to move towards it and then pause and look over towards pretty much anyone who wants to stop him. I can talk with it and I can understand better. But I'm probably going to overload if I try to mind meld with this thing. How much information do you want? Anybody?
Bueller?
I'm thinking map data. Can we? Does our friend here know what other spaces have been carved out along the stairs?
Rough estimate is that there are a bunch of old laboratories, would be the biggest thing. The major thing of interest to the Hearth would likely be either personal research studies or Tyrant's chambers.
Okay, then
Yeah.
I'm going to use. Does anyone pick one of the two? Because I'm going to ask it, but I'm probably going to do a spirit writing technique to do it.
I was thinking of a way of how do I find Tyrant's Chambers, but if we want to go with this, that could work.
Yeah, Tyrant hasn't made his presence known throughout the assault yet.
My idea was I was going to try and manipulate how we got here in the exact same way of, okay, thinking I want to go see Tyrant, and then using that to figure out where Tyrant is in this building.
I will tell you for free with Sunna's roll earlier at the boss chamber.
Okay. He's
Not
is-
in his personal quarters.
okay.
Yeah, I think a lot of our success down here is going to hinge on either getting him into a position where he can make good on his claim of being willing to betray, or if that turned out to be a deception, getting him out of the way
Mm-hmm.
so that he doesn't just appear suddenly from around a corner with a beam.
Then let's go to his chambers. Maybe there's a way we can find something or pull him away from Don't.
All right.
So, okay, does it look like our golem buddy can join us, or is the golem buddy pretty much in this room?
It's not moving. It is probably going to be alive for another 10 or 15 minutes before it just pieces out back into the cycle of reincarnation or the manse, whichever one.
Okay, in that case, Angler is going to steal himself and then kneel down, or at least go down on one knee in front of the golem and reach out his hand. You can come with me if you want to see the end of this. I can't promise it's going to be an easy ride, and I can't promise I'll make it all the way through, but if you want to see, just flow in. And he's going to use spirit riding technique, but try to reverse it, so whatever is the entity that is this golem can go into him.
All right. Fortitude integrity roll. Difficulty 5.
Okay. Let me just triple check to make sure I have integrity. I sure do. I do not want to mess that up. Yep, that's 8 successes.
It's a less intrusive sensation than even onyx entering your mind. It is more like inhaling a breath being let out after being held for too long. It is a barely even extant presence within you, lingering, likely just holding on long enough to see this through, but grateful and, if anything, almost embracing you as best as it can as a form of thanks for thinking of it.
In his mind, Angler is going to think of an anglerfish, which is the story of his name, just to, as a way of explanation, which is a fish that always tries to reach towards the stars and eventually stole from a human a fishing rod in order to try to grab said star, and just slowly trying to get to that spot of we're headed there. Just bear with me. And every so often, that star kind of flashes into 2 stars, and then back to 1.
All right. So, the last stop, presumably, before the final chamber, will be Ruby Gauntlet's chambers. So, let me just...
Not quite Death Chamber, but Death Chamber adjacent.
As you go down the stairs with a very clear mind, following both Angler and Yang's leads, it is almost immediate that you get to Tyrant's Chamber. And it is very clear that it is Tyrant's Chamber, as it just has a red hand seared on the door. There is no presence that you can feel behind it. There is no sensation of anything. And the door just simply slides open easily for you. The inside is perhaps not what you expected. It is simple. It is very clean. It is very sparse. But everything in there seems to have its place very deliberately. There is a small desk with writing implements. There is a bed that actually has rather comfortable looking materials. There is an armor stand that is currently unfilled. And there is a small bookshelf with books, scrolls, notes, letters, all very meticulously sorted and ordered. It seems it's barely the size of a studio apartment. It seems altogether underwhelming.
Does he have any posters on the wall?
He probably has a map of the 100 Kingdoms on the wall. Yeah.
Okay.
Like beyond the region that you're just in as well. Looking at it, you can see some hand-drawn notes on it, some overlays of ley lines that have been changed over time. But otherwise, it is to Repose's eyes, it is halfway between a tomb and a living space. It can't quite let go of either idea.
That makes sense.
So,
I'm want to check out that bookshelf with that you said it was all ordered and everything with like
Yes.
books, scrolls.
It is actually labeled and ordered.
Interesting. You know what? Milan is just going to blindly grab one thing and just let fate decide what
Alright.
it is. So, short answer is I'm cutting corners in the scene to just grab something as I'm using Deft Official's Way.
Okay, that's okay. Deft Official's Way rather than me doing Chance Die, which would have been a botch, which would have been really funny, but no.
No, ignore the results of cutting corners once per scene.
Okay.
So I'm going to make an embassy roll to just grab something that my bureaucrat instincts tell me is important.
What do you want? What?
I want something that is of personal, possibly emotional importance to Tyrant. Something that not like work paperwork, but something that means something to him as a person.
Go ahead and roll.
6 successes.
Your hand alights on an old, yellowed, well-used, and well-annotated copy of the Immaculate Texts.
Now, what is this doing here?
As you open it up and leaf through it, you recognize the handwriting. You've seen his letters. It is his handwriting. And it is crammed on almost every page with marginalia and underlines and question marks and strikeouts and other information. This is the holy book of somebody having a crisis. and it looks like it has been revisited over and over and over. There are parts of the marginalia that have been inked out entirely and written over with different colors of ink. Whatever was beneath them is not easily accessible again and has the more updated version of what he thinks on it. You can see an entire long chain of whoever he was in life getting more and more infuriated with what the text says and what he sees in the world.
Thinking on this, Milan is going to take this book and hand it to Repose.
Repose rolled me Fortitude Sagacity. Or actually, no, Fortitude Occult in this case.
That's the same thing.
God damn it, yes.
Well, you're good.
Old reflexes die hard, especially when I'm playing a Chronicles of Darkness game at the same time.
Give me Fortitude Wizard.
Yes. Okay, so Repose, looking over it, notes that this is academic disagreements. In fact, this isn't an academic writing at all. This was not a priest who owned this. This was a layperson. A literate layperson, but a layperson. And these are all very, very personal, wounded kinds of questions. And as time goes on, and as the handwriting goes further and further, you recognize the thought patterns that lead to things that you can't take back. Except sometimes, as it seems that he found out, you can. This book, this core, is why he can't self-examine, is why he can't self-reflect, is why every time you have tried to pin him down on why he's doing something, on what he wants, on what is driving him, he evades. He reassigns. He changes his reasoning. He thinks again, because all of it boils down to being trapped in a bad decision. And being stuck with desires that he doesn't know how to express, and is thus expressing them poisonously.
Darren, I have
Yeah.
a question.
Yeah.
How old is this book? Does this book look? You mentioned it was like yellowed.
The book itself looks like it is maybe 40 to 50 years old. The notes look younger than that. Maybe 10 years old tops.
No, I do believe he's working on an older version. Weird.
This is most likely something passed down in his family.
Yes. Just a thought.
Mm-hmm.
Milan's voicing out loud.
Well,
Oh,
this explains much and changes little.
Yang. Are you there, Yang?
Oh, I was muted. Hi.
Yeah, sorry. Roll me force integrity.
All right. Oh god, what is James integrity? 3. All right. Yeah. Yeah.
This is the book of somebody who wants a way out. You don't think he was actually lying when he was talking to you at the heart of the Five Winds throne. At least, not lying on purpose.
Just a piece of shit on a reflex.
It does not excuse anything that he's done, but he knows what he is, and that's why he can't look at himself. He is so fanatical and so driven and so hell-bent on doing something, because the moment he stops and thinks about himself and what he has done, he's going to fall over. That is probably how the Whispers got such a deep grip on him.
Oh, this doesn't really change much, but
It confirms what you were suspecting.
yeah, there's that at least.
What else is there to check out?
All of his letters back and forth to Bismuth are very neatly filed. They don't look like they have been touched in a little while, but they have not been destroyed either. They have been sealed neatly away. There are a lot of texts on necromancy and the occult that appear to have been him learning after becoming an abyssal. Historical texts about the 100 regions, some political tracts from a bunch of different political viewpoints in terms of how you administrate or otherwise administrate or undermine. As well as one other thing that stands out particularly large is what appears to be, in his own hand, a set of mantras that a lot of them are unfinished or crossed out. But they appear to not so much be proselytization as they continue to be an extension of rationalization. And the fact that he can't have, that almost none of them are finished, kind of stands on its own. They're rewritten and discarded or crossed out. Repose is quite familiar with the mantras and prayers and things from the things like the Chalcedony Thurible or the Nephirax and things like that. It's not like he has a dearth of material to go to if he wants easy, reassuring brain poison about the void. He's stuck on this. Beneath the surface of implacability, he allows himself weakness when no one else can see it. And only then. The only person he seems to have ever let that guard down around was Bismuth, and that didn't go well for either of them. Most especially not Bismuth.
I have a thought.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got a possible layperson, possible member of the clergy who, in their
Probable
life,
lay.
yeah,
Probable layperson.
who took a lot of issues with what they read in the text and what they were taught, and
Mm-hmm.
refusing to self-reflect, and eventually it resulted in Tyrant.
Yes.
Milan's going to Hearthnet communicate all of this information to Shirin, and I want to get her thoughts and input on how she feels about this. Out of character, she's not that far off because
Yes.
she definitely has, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's been a very quiet, deliberate parallel. You can have this kind of story and not be a genocidal asshole, turns out.
So Milan's going to just communicate everything we've just learned and how this resulted in Tyrant, and I'm seeking her counsel as
Yeah, there is
She
a long quiet on her end. And you can feel over the Hearthnet her... It is a very strange sensation over Hearthnet to feel someone trying to mask emotion while knowing they can't quite do it. Because you can feel her both being horrified and somewhat sympathetic, but also mostly just enraged. But she spends a while massaging and managing that emotion. And I'm trying to think of the exact words that will be used here. Have him prove it. Words in his journal and miseries to himself mean nothing. What he does will show where his belief lies. What he does will not make up for what he did, but it means that it will not continue in the future. And that may be enough for him to cling to. Extend the hand and see if he takes it. And if he rejects it, or if he tries to bite the hand that is offering him help, kill him. There's someone in there. There's someone in there that was a better person once. It's not my place to say whether or not you should, or if you even want, to spend the effort to see if you can bring that person back.
affirmative and determined thumbs up.
And in an ideal situation, you'd be able to. But I don't know how he's going to respond. And either way, even if he does try, I can guarantee you it won't be easy.
Anything else the party wants to do in this room?
I have idea
Mm-hmm.
that can also take the form of a collaboration between Repose and Yang. So we have all of these journal posts of
Mm-hmm.
the internal frustrations of the tyrant.
Yeah, it's live journal.
Let's
Pretty much.
let's leave some replies. Let's comment.
Oh, I'm gonna hold
Just
every
while
one.
Milan has been communicating this information via the sympathies back up to surface crew, Bose just very carefully, well, not actually carefully at all, he is like wound up as though he were going to be careful and then abruptly swept clear the surface of desk. Slam down available parchments and inks and pens, and then just look with terrible, dreadful energy over to Yang and offer a quill, a brush, tool of choice. Just
Okay, yeah, let's go, motherfucker. So Yang's patterns, this will be elaborate. So, like, he'll swerve between elaborate, well thought out critiques of his actions and basically Yang, like every post that he just says, like, I'm miserable and I feel terrible. And
So basically
Yang
going,
like this post.
yeah, basically just going, yeah, just basically just going, yeah, mood. Just pointing out the valid points he has and going, yeah, no, right. But you're an asshole about it.
all right. So
Yeah, perfect. Both of you get a stunt for this, whatever you do.
The well
Same derogatory.
This
Me too, bitch. You're not special.
is in consideration to like back at the previous encounter when he busted out a little bit of talking about the first of the dead, just offering a scrap of any alternate perspective about the foundations of the underworld. And letting it flow from that, oh, you have also only heard the bad, wrong ideas from assholes. And oh, hey, a fundamental philosophical thing about the void. It has a complete absence of internal anything. It will only reflect what you give it. If you are miserable and you consult the void, of course it screams back at you. That's you. That's an echo. So basically, Repose is going to dip into a bunch of like forms of songs and prayers from the underworld that are about, getting into, competitive complaining about how bad you have it, that keep coming back to a refrain of have you even been to Stygia, and talking about going to the edge of the abyss and looking into yourself in the nothing. Because, oh, hey, an important history of ghosts thing is that Set, the first king of the dead, went to the edge of the void
And
looked on the void. And then he built a city to celebrate the memory of all things.
Yeah, the first ghost of the underworld made a refuge for the ghosts after looking directly into the void.
He built a city on the edge of the surface of the void. He taunts it from his throne room, or did while he was in charge.
And then, then the Doom posters kind of overthrew him.
Yeah, the city is currently in a bit of a bad way, but hey, one of these days we'll get enough people together to go liberate it or something.
Yeah.
When are we going to Stygia?
When are we going to Stygia? Stygia? What about Stygia?
The gang overthrows First and Forsaken Lion. Fucking Always Sunny title card.
I guess I'm going to offer up the Ness Embassy with... I'm going to go ahead and invoke the idea of the thoughtful gift technique of actually what does this guy need to hear. Where though I do have on my list of major intimacies, Ruby Gauntlet Tyrant, I will break you. Which,
Yes, you will.
shattering his entire worldview.
That counts.
So,
Tearing down the
can I
excuse
give
that he's using
it
to prop up his...
in that I'm adding white noise and also the occasional
You can either make an assist roll or make a roll of your own to make your
think
own angle as
you-
well.
So like you probably have an excellency in the skill you're actually going to use. So I feel like you should be the primary actor here.
I mean, actually, look. Excellencies in medicine, range, combat, stealth, and sagacity. Do I use sagacity?
If you are dismantling his philosophical viewpoints, yes. Then meanwhile, Repose would be going after his social viewpoints and how he has actually acted.
Yeah, it's basically relaying and then going, no, that's going into the hole. You stay at the edge of the hole.
Yeah, Yang is coming at this from like throwing a hand over his shoulder and going, "Mood, but I killed way fewer people." And then Repose is coming
And
at this
Repose
from
dipping
the priestly
deep into
clergy.
the well of ghost culture
as a
clergy
fellow
of
mass
do a
murderer-
flip.
Yeah.
As a fellow mass murderer, yes, the number of people you kill actually does matter. It doesn't just stop mattering. It still matters.
It still super matters,
It
dude.
still
The
super,
ends do
super,
not
super matters.
the consequences of your ends do not justify the means. I've lived this one. And you know that. You know that. I've seen that you know that. I read your notes.
Stop your heart, lie down, and don't move for about 8 eons.
And then, yeah, Repose is just responding to him, yelling, "I'm gonna jump off this building with do a flip."
So, 9?
Yep, and... Was that your roll, Yang?
Oh,
No,
wait, there's
that was
another
an
9
earlier
on
No,
the upper row there.
There are many 9s on that upper
There are many
row.
9s on that upper
Yeah,
row.
there are a
for
lot
my
of
double
row.
9s.
So...
I think it's 10. I'm
11.
gonna either
Yeah,
assist
and you get a
or-
stunt, so 12.
Oh, well, hold on. Let me get 2 more. Nope.
Jesus Christ.
A mere 10?
So yeah, 11 and 10.
Well, get his ass.
Yeah, both of you just kind of...
Just concluding with very theatrically bringing out and flourishing and then slamming down just a signet stamp that says peace. And nothing else. And just leave those in the inbox.
Alright. I am in the awkward situation where I am looking at the clock, and I absolutely know that I'm not going to do the entire fight in a half hour to an hour. But I also don't really want to end it right here, so I can do the intro of the fight, or like the run up to it and end there, or we can end here and make that the whole spectacle next time, whichever you guys would prefer.
Just based on curiosity, how long do you think the fight and wrap up will take?
At least an hour and a half, if not longer, probably.
Why don't we move up to the fight and then that? Because if we finish early somehow, possibly doubtful, perhaps we can do like Q&A or something on after the last session, or
Yeah.
asking questions or what have you that we have all had about each other's characters and what have you.
All right. Yeah, one sec.
Unless someone else needs to speak up.
Nope. By the way, Darren, going to this final fight, have we had any time to recover any more modes?
One more mode has been recovered at this point.
Dope.
Actually, 2 modes, I'll say, because of the detour into the office and taking a while to write the most devastating call-out posts known to man.
All right, I am slightly below half of my modes.
Every time we sign one of the call-out posts that are particularly good, we instinctually high-five each other as we're just furiously tweeting. Yeah, got him.
Sir, this is a crematorium.
Alright. Don't actually have something queued up for the music on this one, so let me just look for something to put in the background real quick. Oh, the hell with it. This is good enough for now. So, with considerable determination in their steps, and a deliberate invocation of trying to make sure Tyrant is able to get back to his chambers in their steps, and again, by the how well you rolled on your roll, you can guarantee that you wander long enough that Tyrant is aware that there was an attempt on his chambers, so he can go look at it, but you're not there. By the time you get back down, there is only one door, and you have reached the bottom of the staircase. It is a door that goes about as far up as you can see. Kind of impossibly so, because you're pretty sure there was a floor there not too long ago, but, well, it's not there anymore. And the moment that you approach it, instead of having to open it yourselves, it just slowly creaks open stone on stone for you in a row of torches and candles and other lights just flash on from inside the door inward. And I will switch to the actual map. You are in an immense cavern room that looks like it has been blasted open by sheer sorcerous might. Columns line the walls that hold torches, sconces, and are lined with either embedded or very well carved out skulls. On the floor is a deliberately misshapen and shaky pentagram in a mockery of the exact perfected elemental diagrams necessary for geomantic magic that uses creation's elements. Standing in the center of the pentagram is Tyrant. Above, on an overlooking balcony from a ritualist's perspective, very obviously up on the left-hand side, is the Weaver silently watching and looking down. At the far end of the hall are two figures. One is immediately obvious and visible. At the base of a shattered pile of glass and tubing is an probably 12 to 15 foot tall, desiccated, grayed out corpse of like no person should be that tall. Their lips have been pulled back to show fangs, and they look almost like, well, maybe that was a person that died and got mutated, until you look at the feet, until you look at the legs, and you realize that behind it, in the tubing, there is a stretch out of the bioorganic matter that created the wood dragon's mass and has reached out of the tube and is overgrowing the back half of the room and reaching up into cracks in the walls and the ceiling and is infesting God even knows how much of the labyrinth and the manse at this point. And inside the tube are broken off stumps at the ankle of the feet. This thing budded from the biomass and ripped itself free. It is an ambulatory bud of the system. It is likely the closest thing you're going to find to a heart or a brain or a singular organism of the wood dragon, even if it is not the totality. It is a fruit of the being, yes. And then, almost small enough, even though it is the size of an ordinary person, that you don't even notice it in the shadow of the being, is a porcelain figure. They look like a person-sized, ball-jointed porcelain doll with a blank face and two black spots painted on instead of eye holes. They look almost like there is almost no blemishes on them. There is nothing about them out of place. Perfect, absolutely meticulously crafted porcelain, intricately maintain joints. Except two things. One, and the most obvious, is at the back of the mask, roughly about the top back of the head, where the hair would be coming out if this had been a mostly head-containing mask. Instead of hair, there is a carpet of live, moving tongues. Of not necessarily humankind. It's human, cow, anteater. It's unclear.
Meat hair.
And its fingertips have very small holes on each of them, from which very thin tubes of tongue and muscle flick out to taste the air as it is holding its hands out in a kind of reverent pose. It is utterly silent as it stands there, while the fruited body of the wood dragon is making rattling breaths, Tyrant's cape is flickering, and Weaver is kind of tapping a finger on the banister. Well, good of you to finally make it down here. I was wondering if you would get lost. You don't seem the sort receptive to banter, so I shall restrain myself. I will ask, though. Tell me, were you as frustrated as it looked when you could not budge my newest creation?
I don't know. I threw a grenade at it. It worked pretty well.
You irritated a patch of its skin.
And if we want to take care of it, we just need to bring more grenades.
There is just a kind of quiet look down. You know, wisdom does often come from the simplest of minds. But I doubt you brought as many as you would need. You would need, by my estimates, several thousand of those pillars of rust.
Who's counting?
Me. Tyrant.
That was awfully nice of you to do the math for us.
Weaver just glances down at Tyrant at this point, who is still very quiet and not moving, and just staring down the hearth. And give me a force integrity roll, Yang and Repose.
I give him a really loaded, like, aren't you tired of fucking...
That is what this roll is for.
Yeah, okay.
This is an unspoken communication roll.
Repose will take 2 steps forward, stare at Tyrant, and just outstretch both arms to the side. Just, well, what is it?
Yang is
Go ahead
going
and get a
to-
stunt.
What would he even do about this? Yeah, I got nothing. I can't think of a stunt. 4 is pretty good.
Now let the dice do the talking.
That's not great.
Gauntlet flicks his cape open to show the gauntlet itself, raising it up in a clawed, open grip in front of him. But it's not the sort of threat that you are used to from his presence so far. This is a play act. This is him playing villain. And as you see, almost imperceptibly, the finger of his gauntlet points up to Weaver. And then a second finger very subtly points to Obsidian. He says no words, but he sees that you can see what he did.
He is pointing.
He is large and he is pointing.
The finger points.
I am bound by duty to end this here. Let's finish it. And with that...
Obsidian, if I am getting the read that I think I am getting, would just reply with, make sure you don't miss. Make sure you don't miss.
There is a hesitation before an almost imperceptible smile in his voice. I don't intend to. Next time, the end. Reshnak, Nyalox, Ruby Gauntlet Tyrant, and the Weaver upon the loom of flesh face down. The hearth.
Next time.